Hi, I'm Joy, and I'd like to talk to you today about how you can make a huge difference in the world. Each of us can. And if you're watching this video, you probably already know that we're all connected to the collective. We're all part of it, where we all energetically influence each other. Even our thoughts and feelings are all interconnected. And I'm going to explore today different ways that you can make a very real difference in the world. The reason I'm making this video is because I'm finding that the most caring people I know are being enormously impacted right now. They're in a very great deal of pain by current events in the world, and it's coming out with a lot of outrage. There's a lot of outrage right now, and what I'd like to do is explore how we can respond to that. First of all, if you are outraged, thank you for caring as much as you do. Thank you. And I just want to say that it's okay from my perspective to feel outraged, to feel helpless or hopeless, to feel grief, to feel whatever it is you're feeling. These are all very understandable reactions to the current situation. So, what's the most effective way to actually change the world? What can we do? So, there are four main ways that we can make an actual difference in the world. And the process for how to approach each of these areas is basically the same. So, from an energetic perspective, being in the energy of sorrow, outrage, nervous system dysregulation, whether you're in fight mode, flight mode, whether you're frozen, or whether you're just, trying to keep busy and, keep the people in your life happy. Like whatever your response to dysregulation is, while you're in that state, there isn't much you can do that's going to have a big impact. You're, kind of part of the crowd. But if you can regulate your nervous system and get to a point where you are in a place of like inner peace and clarity, it gives you the ability to take more effective action to do things that'll make a real difference. You're not part of the crowd, part of the noise that is, where everybody else basically is right now. So let's look at what it means to regulate our nervous system. Basically, whatever stress we experience, whether it's coming at us through the collective, and like I said, the most sensitive and caring people are the ones that get hit by it the hardest, and they don't even need to know what's going on in the world to be impacted by it. It's extraordinarily painful. It causes us to not sleep well. It causes us to have all this like nervous energy and not know what to do about it. It causes us to like want to go out there and do something, whether it's go to a protest, whether it's talk about it on social media, whether it's write a letter to a politician, whether it's do some energy work. Like we want to do something, and that's the very natural reaction. It's the reason that fight and flight mode exists, so we have the ability to handle stressors that come up. But as these things come in, and some of it is, like I said, just comes to us through our connection to the collective. Some of it comes to us through people we know talking about it. Sometimes it's on social media, sometimes it's on the news. Wherever it's coming from, just stop whatever you're doing and notice what's happening in your body. Notice the sensations. And, if you're feeling angry, okay, where are you feeling angry? Where do you feel it, like in or around your body? Are you feeling afraid? Okay. Anxious? Okay. Where are you feeling that in or around your body? And a lot of times that energy needs to be physically released in some way. And we can do that by going for a walk, dancing, working out, cleaning the house. There's lots of ways, as long as you're mindful that you're doing it to release this stress energy in the body, it can be very good ways to go ahead and discharge the energy. Another thing is to watch what you consume. So like we can process all the stuff that comes to us, if we can feel it, we can process it. But if it's too intense or if there's too much of it, then our nervous system can get overwhelmed and it becomes a lot more difficult to deal with it effectively and get ourselves back to the place that I'm going to talk about soon, where we can actually have the most beneficial impact and like the most effective impact. And so basically, don't just like process whatever feelings come up for you. And to process it, what we do is just focus on the sensations. And they are there and they might be fairly intense, and then they pass, experience them and then just let them naturally go away. That's the natural course of events if you actually go ahead and experience it fully. So don't just do that though. Also make sure that you're doing things intentionally to take care of your health and soothe your nervous system. Have a nice hot bath, snuggle up with a blanket and watch a funny movie with a loved one, or cook your favorite healthy meal for yourself. Do whatever you need to do to be as healthy as you can possibly be and to keep your nervous system in good shape. And the more you take in information and feel the whatever it is that's happening, the energy of that information, the more work you're going to have to do to process this stuff, and the more likely it is that you're going to get overwhelmed. So go ahead and do whatever feels right to you. That's always the main thing with me. Always do whatever feels right to you deep down, but keep in mind that the more you consume, the more you have to digest. So keep that in mind and don't overwhelm your nervous system with like too much of the difficult stories and the outrage in your feed on social media and that sort of thing. All right, so let's talk about like the actual ways we can each make a really notable difference in the world. First and foremost, but probably least obviously, is energetically. Like we are all connected to the collective unconscious, and energetically, the more you are in a place of love, peace, like true inner joy, the more impact you have on the collective energetically. And the more you're in an energy of like sorrow, anger, fear, pride, those types, shame, those types of energies, the less impact you have. So the more loving and peaceful you are, the more empowered you are energetically. And it can actually counterbalance a very, very, very large number of people in the collective if you are in a better place. So you are at your most powerful energetically and in the collective by being the happiest, healthiest person you can be. And I'm not talking about repressing anything, go ahead and, whatever you're feeling, go ahead and feel it. As I said earlier, just process it. Don't hang on to it by telling yourself stories about it. Feel the sensations and then let it be released. And you'll have clarity after that. I know a lot of people would say, like, if you can feel peaceful while all this is going on, like you're just not doing it right. That's wrong. Let me be very clear. The idea of being peaceful is not to ignore the state of the world. It's to be more empowered to actually make a difference. So I'm not saying not to do anything. I'm saying to do it from a place of empowerment, not a place of, being one of the masses of people who are ineffectively like struggling amongst themselves, essentially. So that is the most powerful thing you can do to make a change. And like I said, also like the least readily observable. So the second thing that you can do to make a difference is just small or subtle or indirect things in the lives of people with whom you come in contact. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but sometimes when, like if I was having a rough time with something, just a kind smile from someone, or like an accepting response, or even just their lack of reactivity to my dysregulation is enough to bring me into a better state myself. And from there, I'm able to move forward in my day and have a more positive impact on the people that I come in contact with. So every time you have a loving interaction with people, even if it's just like the way you're carrying yourself as you walk by them on the street, even if it's just a small genuine smile to a stranger, you know, there are a lot of small subtle things that you can do that are like dropping a pebble in a pond, and there's these ripples that come out, and you know, it's a chain of reaction in every direction. So so that's another way to make a difference, and that might not seem like a big thing, but you know, if you get enough of those going, if enough people are doing it, yeah, it absolutely makes a difference. The next way is similar, but it's with children and with your genes even. So there's something called epigenetics where trauma gets stored in the DNA and passed down generation to generation. And when you process trauma in your DNA, or even things that you've experienced in your life, it actually heals your DNA. It changes you on the level of DNA so that if you have children in the future, it's going to stop them from inheriting that trauma as well. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have kids in order to have an impact on future generations. Every time that a person says, the way my parents raised me in this particular area was not the best way to do it, and I'm going to do a better job. Every time somebody does that, it heals the next generation a little bit. And this is something that makes a huge, 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 huge difference in the world. I can't stress that enough. It's just that we don't live long enough to see the impact of it over multiple generations. But if you look back in time at how violent things were in the average household, not the worst households, but the average household several generations ago versus now, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, you know, there can be healing through multiple generations, especially, like I said, if you're somebody that's drawn to this video, you're someone who's already doing this work most likely. So thank you. You are blessing the world with every time you tackle a feeling that comes up for you and process it. Every time you do that, you're healing the collective and you're healing future generations. Thank you for your work. I know it's not easy. And then the final way, and this is maybe the most fun way to think about, but or the most dramatic at least, is that when you are in a position to act from a place of clarity, you're in a position to make decisions that'll make a really big impact on those around you. You can feel your own inner compass, and you can feel what's happening energetically in the collective. The more of your own stuff you process, and the more you're processing the stuff that you're absorbing from the collective, so that you're not walking around with that distracting you and like weighing you down anymore. The more you do that kind of thing, the more you're able to sense what to do, when to do it in the moment, and take very effective action. It doesn't even always necessarily make sense. Quick story, one time I felt energetically pulled in a certain direction. I was in a foreign city. I was supposed to be meeting up with a stranger who was going to let me sleep on her couch. And I was I was so certain that I needed to go in this direction, and I went like 45 minutes out of my way, and ended up I had a foot injury at the time from moving recently, and I had all of my luggage with me, and I walked like half an hour after I got off the train, and I ended up walking past this guy, and I was like, oh boy, I don't want to like walk too close to him. He looks like, like they got kind of a weird feeling about him. But I had this like inner clarity. No, this is where this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I stopped and I just watched him for a moment, and he started talking to me, and he was saying, they're going to tase me even though I'm cooperating. And he was talking to people that weren't there, and like asking what he's supposed to do. He's like, I'll do what you want me to do. Just tell me what you want me to do. Don't tase me. He was terrified. He was freaking out. And I realized that he needed help. And this was a little bit of an ordeal. I called emergency services, waited for them to show up, waited till he was on the ambulance. But basically what ended up happening was, as soon as he was safely on the ambulance, all of a sudden the energetic pull was gone. So I it was like the universe paged me to go deal with that situation. And it was like, okay, resume what you were doing. And I ended up meeting up with my new friend and had a great time. But it doesn't always make sense that you're called to do the things that you do. But if you have that clarity, you can take very effective action. And sometimes it seems like something that's like not even the biggest deal, like a specific comment to a specific person at a specific time, but it can have a really powerful impact. And sometimes it's actually taking very large actions, not little things. And if you do that from a place of inner knowing, from a place of inner peace, from a place of clarity, you are going to have the most beneficial and effective results you possibly can. However, if you are in a place of just being very much in pain about what's happening in the world, and you're acting to try to relieve the pain before you process it, you're not going to be as effective in what you do. I'm not saying that it doesn't make a difference. I'm saying that you're not going to be as effective as you would be if you waited for that clarity. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I would love to hear what you think. Leave some comments. Thank you for watching.